Welcome to episode 130 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. I'm glad you're back for another week. Here are some thoughts I'm having this week. I'm thinking about what we hope and wish that others expect of us. We are always in one of three states. We are either moving forward, standing still, or moving backwards. To move forward, we have to put into play all the accumulated wisdom we have gathered up until this point. We then use that as fuel to take on our next step. This step can be in any aspect of your life, whether personal, professional, or creative. In taking the next step, we incorporate into our move all that we know to be right and spiritually correct. We drop the thoughts and actions that we have already weeded out as non-productive and less than we are capable of. We have a keener eye and a different set of expectations for ourselves. To stand still is to take a break in the action, to gather and examine all that we have learned and absorbed. It is to take a breath and let all that wisdom seep into ourselves. It is a step where we gather and affirm ourselves before making the next move forward. Standing still can be a much-needed regrouping, or it can be a time when we are frozen in fear. But in either case, we know that we are not yet ready to move forward. We are in neutral with the parking brake on. The third option is to be moving backwards. This is when we actively reject the wisdom we have gathered because it stands in the way of easily getting what we think we want or need. It is that moment when the 7 deadly sins, lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, or pride are more powerful pulls than our wisdom is in the moment. This doesn't make you a bad person per se, it just makes you human. You were designed with all these built-in weaknesses that you will struggle with your entire life. Everyone does. So in the moment you move backwards, you are letting one or more of the 7 deadlies have more power than your own accumulated wisdom. You also, in this moment, know that you are putting yourself and probably others at risk. You know that there is a chance that you will be caught doing what you already know is wrong, but the pull is just too powerful to resist. I'm less interested in leveling a judgment of right or wrong, good or bad, as I am in the concept of each person owning their own life and owning the decisions they make. I'm interested in people focusing on the karma they are creating for themselves and others. Many times in life, we make dubious decisions because we truly do not know which decision is the right one, and we can't yet anticipate what the potential outcomes of our choice may be. This is all part of the growth process, but we do all have an internal barometer that tells us when something is wrong. Every person at every level of spiritual awareness knows when they are doing something wrong. We also have the ability and the responsibility to own up to our own choices. One of the most disturbing things about moving backwards is that there are an endless number of people who will encourage you to do so. There are an endless number of people out there who will tell you exactly how you should be cheating the system and doing what you know to be wrong. This is often because the people who are trying to drag you backwards are already doing what they know to be wrong, and they will feel better about that if they can convince you to do the same. You know, all the peer pressure moves. You would be crazy not to do this. Everybody is doing this. Honestly, the reasoning doesn't become much more sophisticated from the time you are a little kid until the day you leave this planet. The temptation doesn't even have to be sophisticated. It just needs to appeal to one of your weaknesses: lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, or pride. All they have to do is find some sort of motivation for you to abandon your honesty, integrity, and/or empathy. But here's the scariest part to me. Once someone can convince you to abandon yourself and follow their road to ruin, they own you. They now have something on you. They have effectively redefined some fundamental part of you and stripped you of the wisdom you worked hard to amass. You are now beholden to them because they have the goods on you. They have the information about how you compromised yourself and can use that to influence further decisions you make. This only works because you know what you did is wrong. If not, you would just say what you did, explain your reasoning, and offer your apologies. But since you knew it was wrong when you made the choice, you are steeped in shame, which is more likely to make you want to cover up your actions. It drives you further underground and further susceptible to additional bad actions. As you sit in shame about what you did, the thing you knew was wrong, you now identify more closely with the wrongdoers than you do with those who are still in their honesty, integrity, and empathy. You have switched to a different team because you no longer think that those at higher levels will accept you. And there is no bottom when it comes to those who choose wrong and evil. They gladly accept with open arms anyone who will join them in the filth and slime. The only bar to entry in the low levels is that you must never bring your higher attributes into play. They are not welcome there. This may all sound dramatic and overblown, but look around you. Read the news. It is happening all the time to people who know deep down inside that they have abandoned themselves and all sense of wisdom and decency. But it gets them the acceptance they need. It gets them the money that they crave. It gets them that intoxicating feeling that they have power over others. It draws other compromised people into their orbit who actually admire them. They are flying high from being very low. It's hard to watch because they are not seemingly held accountable for their horrendous choices. They are not being held to account for the damage that they do to others. But there is much more to this life thing than popular opinion or even the legal system. There is the immutable law of karma. They may seem to be profiting from spreading darkness right now, but their actions will create reactions that are designed to force them to see the other side of what they have done. They are creating karma that will follow their souls beyond this world and will create chaos and havoc for themselves and those who they would say that they love. No soul can dodge the karma that it creates. It is impossible. The karmic blowback just doesn't happen as swiftly and as satisfyingly as we wish it would. But that is our own unreasonable desire for instant karma. We want to be able to see it and know that others see it so that it may feel more fair. Life is fair, but it is a process that plays out over many lifetimes. We are impatient when it comes to that sort of thing. All lessons are delivered when the recipient is able to absorb it. We can't decide when that is. The images that we are seeing out of Ukraine are absolutely sickening. We are seeing the unimaginable. I know that sounds naive because there have been wars since the beginning of time. But the thought of living your life as a free person one day and then having a neighboring country invade you, kill, torture, rape, rob, and maim people while destroying the infrastructure that your life is built around is not something that people in my country have had to experience firsthand in modern times. It is unthinkable. We know that the person who is calling the shots dwells in the lowest levels of evil. That has never been a secret. But now he has encouraged his troops to go as low as his own soul goes. He has convinced his troops to commit acts of evil that are meant to destroy their own souls. And now that they are doing it, they are aligned with his own personal brand of evil. They belong to him. None of these troops will ever be able to resume a normal life having done what they have done. They are destroyed and dragged down to the lowest levels of spiritual awareness, where they will spend lifetimes trying to dig their way out. They can no longer align with decent people. They too are now the lowest of the low. They are owned by evil. They are animated by evil. They will never escape the karma that they are creating for themselves. They have decided to abandon any shred of humanity that they once may have enjoyed. It is a display of darkness that is almost impossible to process. While we may have the benefit of distance between what they are doing and what our daily lives look like, it is essential that we look at those around us, those in our own country, who are on the side of evil. They are going beyond excusing the evil. They are cheering it on. What you need to know is that they would do the very same thing, given the opportunity, in our own neighborhoods. They have the same capacity for darkness that we are seeing overseas. We are living in a time when these issues are neither in the past nor a simple fodder for debate. We are living in a time when our ability to see evil before it is unleashed is more important than ever. Don't look away, and don't assume it can't happen here. As for the citizens of Ukraine, it is beyond heartbreaking to think of what these acts of aggression have done to all of their people. So many important lives lost, so much trauma endured, and no one who survives will ever be the same. They will never enjoy another day without fear and fury and unimaginable loss. Their lives are forever scarred by these acts of evil, and no one knows where or how this all ends. So what do we do with all of this? It's a tough high wire to walk. We have our hearts broken because of all the darkness that souls can visit upon one another. Yet we need to do our part to share the light. We can help in the ways that make sense for us, but we also have to be living demonstrations of love and compassion so that others may see that as the way to live. We can't walk around broken and defeated because we cannot allow ourselves to be either. We must remain strong in our own humanity and our vision of a world where horrific events like this become a thing of the past. We must live our own happiest life, making sure that those around us are tapping into everything that is still miraculous in this world, even though there are those who wish to break us. We must do everything within our power to make sure that no more agents of darkness, ridiculousness, and stupidity have power over others. I don't remember a time when there were so many lunatics holding public office, so many lunatics who wish to drag us back into the dark ages. We can't let this happen. Their vision of the world is very much different than the one that embraces love and compassion for all. It is one that seeks to legalize the subjugation of everyone who is not a straight white male. It is one that is feverishly invested in keeping all the toxic systems in place. It is one that seeks to strip women and all marginalized communities of any and all power of self-determination. If you watch a political ad that contains any language about demonizing groups of people, this is a dangerous candidate. They do not fit what we need in a better world. We need to fully recognize that those who are ridiculous are actually dangerous. We can't laugh them off. We need to be happy and productive and creative, and we need to be vigilant about constructing the better world that we seek. We can do both. We came here to do both. And we need to pay attention to those around us who have low expectations of us. We need to watch out for those who do not hold us to higher standards. They do not have our best interests at heart. We need to surround ourselves with people who want us to be our best selves, who expect us to act with honesty, integrity, and empathy. While it is always easier to be with people who have low expectations, you really need partners in growth who celebrate your wisdom and love and joy. It is never an act of love to have low expectations. It is an act of abandonment. Be the love. Thanks for returning for another week of Rebirth Revolution. I hope that spring is bringing you renewed energy and expanded vision. You can always let me know how you're doing by emailing me at rebirthrev@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Rebirth Revolution can be found on all the podcast apps, the music apps, and full episodes run on our YouTube and Facebook pages. Please subscribe, download, and share whenever possible. Until next week, think about the standards you have for those you are in relationship with. Examine your own ability to live up to those standards. Take the appropriate COVID precautions, and let's move this world to a more loving place. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and engaged.